Hello, and the topic I am picking for how humans affect global climate change is trash and plastic, and kind of where it ends up and kind of how it all impacts the Earth and its climate change. So the first thing is it's a big issue right now, especially in Asia. So it's happening all around the world where there's like a lot of pollution going on. There's a lot of trash and people are recycling. But it's a big issue in Asia. Asia has more trash than any place in the world. Um, there's an interesting fact actually. 9% of what we recycle actually is recycled, and the rest of it's actually dumped. And I'll kind of explain where it is dumped to later. But I thought that was very interesting. So whenever you like throw something into like a recycling can, at least in the United States, it's 9%. So whenever you throw something in a recycling can, the people come pick it up. 9% of that is actually like recycled and reused, and the rest of it is discarded. So there's another really cool fact. It's a super cool fact, but also kind of not super cool. Is that so a lot of the trash, and I'm sure you know this, is it's all dumped out into the Pacific Ocean. And I know you've probably heard this, like twice the size of Texas, which is a lot. Like Texas is pretty big; it's our biggest state. And to think that there's twice Texas of trash floating out there is ridiculous. But something that it's super cool, but also super not cool. You'll see what I mean in a sec. Is that only like what you see that Texas, only 15% of that. So of all the trash that's dumped into the ocean, 15% of the trash is floating, and that's what makes up Texas. So 70% of it is actually it's like drowned, or it's deep into the ocean, where it's there. It's hurting the fish, and I'll go into that a little bit later. Yeah, so 70% of it's sunken into the ocean, 15% of it's floating out there, and then the other 15%, which is also pretty cool, or it's unique, is that it's like on the shores and at beaches and stuff like that, and that's where like a lot of the trash goes. So if you ever go to like a beach or a pier or something like that, and you see trash, so that's part of that 15%. That's all over the Earth. All right. Okay, so another thing I thought was interesting was that the trash that gets recycled. So, if you see, yeah, so the trash that's recycled. So if you ever see like the pollution that's like on the shores and stuff like that, people that go and they clean it up and they recycle it, they put it back. Like, yeah, that's great, and you're helping clean the environment. But it's kind of sad to think that that trash is getting put back into the system. So remember, only 9% of what people are collecting is actually going to be recycled, and the rest of it is just going to be discarded back into the ocean, in which it's going to go back into that exact same cycle, and some of it's going to end up back on the beach. So it's crazy to think that there are some trashes that we've thrown out into the ocean, come back to beaches, put it and recycled it, ends up back in the ocean and back twice. So like some trash has been there twice, which is it's crazy to me to think about. Yeah, so there's another thing that's kind of cool, and you might have heard of this, but we have tried to put some of the trash in space, and currently, yes, there's actually a lot of trash in space, more than you might think, and while it is, it's not like affecting our oceans and the ocean wildlife. It is very, very expensive, not to mention all of like the rocket fuel that's involved. It's too much, and it's not worth it. So people have stopped trying to put it into space, but that has been another idea. Another thing is, so yeah, so I mentioned a little bit earlier, but like all of the trash that's in the Pacific Ocean. So yeah, it's in the Pacific, and that's a big area, but all oceans around the world, there's people that litter. There's a lot of pollution there, and it really affects a lot of the fish there. And there's a lot of fish that you see like dead on shore. Either they choked on plastic, or like they choked on like plastic or something like that. I know like tiger sharks are famous for like choking. Actually, they're famous for eating a lot of trash. But yeah, there's just a lot of fish that are just curious and will eat anything, and a lot of it's plastic, and it's just not good for them. So it does kill wildlife, and it's very bad for them. So one of the impacts it has is that it produces a lot of greenhouse gases due to solar radiation on the plastic. It actually has one of the biggest impacts on greenhouse gases. the environment in climate change, which it's an issue that we need to take care of. So another thing which I didn't even really think about until I did a little bit of research on it, but global warming. So you've heard that the global warming, when it comes down, hits the oceans, and oceans help with the global warming because it absorbs the heat, right? So the ocean comes down, and that's why the surface of oceans is warmer than others, is because it absorbs the heat. But when we have all of that trash out there, like in the Pacific Ocean, and there's also a lot of trash just like floating around just everywhere. So all the trash that's out there in the ocean is not getting, or like the sunlight that would be coming down to hit the ocean is not getting absorbed because it's hitting the plastic. So that in turn is affecting global warming, and it's increasing it, and it's bad for the environment. So there was good news is, as of recently, there's been something called #TeamSeas, which is where there's a lot of people it's mainly the beaches, but just trying to get rid of a lot of pollution that's there. I know Mr. Beast, if you know who Mr. Beast is. He's a YouTuber. He also does Twitch, but he did like a video that has 50 million views now. It was about a month ago, and it got like, I think, 30 million the first day, which was amazing. But anyway, so he's doing a little movement, and it's TeamSeas is a lot of things that's going around on Twitch. It's just a lot of people helping the environment. So there is a little bit of a movement towards helping out the issue, but yeah, it's still an issue, and it, in my opinion, will probably forever be an issue. But we can always help clean up trash and stop littering, get rid of the pollution that's there, and everyone can do their part. Thank you.